welcome. I'm Jeremy Olivier, and here's what happened this week. In a long-awaited decision, Taiwan will face a 20% tariff on most of its exports to the United States, following a new executive order issued by U.S. President Donald Trump. It comes just one day after Taiwan's cabinet said they had reached a consensus on a deal with the U.S. And as Chris Gorin reports, the new tariff rate has created as many questions as it has answers.
Taiwan President Lai Ching-te addresses the nation from the presidential office, following a White House announcement of tariffs on most countries across the world, including Taiwan, which will see most of its exports levied at 20%, starting in 7 days.
我们最终的目标是既争取对等关税能够到合理，然后对台湾最有利，同时也争取232的关税。 对台湾的 ICT 产业，还有电子零组件产业不至于造成冲击。
The 20% rate is a reduction of sorts from the 32% originally announced by the Trump administration in April. However, it's still more than several of Taiwan's neighboring countries, such as South Korea and Japan, a fact that's drawing criticism from Taiwan's opposition parties.
希望在连续的谈判过程当中，能够把28%的税率调降下来，不然台湾最大的竞争对手就是日本跟韩国。如果他们都是15%，台湾20%，那未来我们如何要跟日本、韩国竞争？
The announcement comes after Taiwan's cabinet said it had reached a consensus on technical terms of a deal with the U.S. But Lai says both sides still need to have a final meeting before more details can be revealed. Another major concern for Taiwan is tariffs that can be levied under a law known as Section 232. Under the law, Taiwan's most valuable exports, such as semiconductors and servers, which have until now been exempt, could see sector-specific tariffs of an unknown amount.
It's a possibility in the sense that if you look at some of the tariff actions that the Trump administration has taken under Section 232 this time around, they've ranged as high as 50%. Right, so that is the tariff rate that is applicable to steel and aluminum and now copper.
The U.S. Commerce Department investigation is expected to be completed within 2 weeks. Experts say if the tariffs are applied to Taiwan semiconductors, it could hurt not only Taiwanese companies, but also the booming AI industry in the U.S.
I think the impact could be very significant because essentially the tariff will be paid by the customer or the buyers in the U.S. right? So essentially, it will undermine, I think, a lot of the investment in semiconductor and AI industry in U.S.
President Lai says Taiwan's goal is to make a deal as soon as possible so that the 20% tariff will be only temporary. But some here say it might not be so easy.
As Trump mentioned, the tariff is the most beautiful word is in the dictionary, and we will see the section 232. We may also see other kind of the different form of the tariff, for example, the anti-dumping, the countervailing duty tariff, and so on. So we have to to face this kind of a challenge in the future. This is just the beginning.
The Trump administration has left open the opportunity for most countries to make deals to bring their tariffs down. If Taiwan's deal is as close as Lai says it is, perhaps Taiwan's chance isn't far away. Eason Chun and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
President Lai Ching-te says he's taking responsibility for his party's shortcomings after a recall movement launched by civic groups failed to unseat any opposition lawmakers.
民进党做的不够的地方，我要承担所有批评，也要向所有投入的公民团体与支持者深深致上歉意。
Lai, who is also chair of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, said he respects the outcome of the vote. Voters overwhelmingly rejected campaigns that sought to unseat 24 lawmakers from the main opposition Kuomintang. Another vote to recall 7 KMT legislators is scheduled for August 23rd. Lai has ordered the DPP to offer full support to civic groups overseeing the remaining recall campaigns. Protesters have come out against Taiwan's government amid reports that it planned to donate to a medical project in an Israeli settlement. And on Thursday, opposition lawmakers joined in the criticism. But the foreign ministry says there were no concrete plans for a donation. Leslie Liao reports.
At a time of war, controversy, and alleged human rights abuses, there's outrage here in Taipei over reports that Taiwan plans to donate money to an Israeli settlement. An opposition coalition says the supposed act of charity would put Taiwan on the wrong side of history.
这列非法屯垦区常年来都是违反国际法院的判决，违反联合国的决议，因此从来没有任何一个国家、任何一个政府踏入非法屯垦区，公然表达支持，甚至于要捐款。
The issue? Reports that Taiwan's representative to Israel, Abby Lee, was pursuing a government donation to a medical project in an Israeli settlement in the occupied West Bank, in what would be the first foreign nation to contribute financially to the development of Israeli settlements in the Palestinian territory, which are illegal under international law. This spurring anger in Taiwan over what protesters see as their government's support of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's war in Gaza.
那个李亚平承诺要捐款协助以色列在非法殖民区的殖民区新建医院，但是事实上，巴勒斯坦人根本用不到那些医疗物资。在人道援助的旗帜下，我们实际上能看到的是台湾政府为种族屠杀输送弹药，这就是赤裸裸的共犯行为。
Taiwan's foreign ministry told TaiwanPlus that healthcare is an important area of cooperation for Israel and Taiwan. It said only potential collaboration was discussed and that no promises were made about funding. The ministry added that Taiwan has already donated $500,000 to Palestinian refugees in need of aid and that it will continue working for the global good. This backlash against the foreign ministry comes as international pressure on Israel is mounting over its war in Gaza, where more than 60,000 people have been killed since Israel began fighting there in 2023. Retaliation for an attack by Hamas that killed over 1,000 people in Israel and saw more than 240 civilians taken hostage. Humanitarian groups are warning of famine spreading in Gaza as Israel restricts aid entering the territory of over 2 million people. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney joined France and the UK in saying they would recognize a Palestinian state in September unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire.
Le Canada a l'intention de reconnaître l'État de la Palestine lors de la 80e session de l'Assemblée générale des Nations unies en septembre 2025.
With global attention fixed on the Middle East, Taiwan's actions in the region will be put under the microscope. Chris Ma and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
As an island nation, Taiwan's seas provide a bevy of delicacies. That's why seafood played a central role at this year's Taiwan Culinary exhibition. But where there's seafood, there are questions about sustainability. Leslie Liao is back with this report.
Food, food, and more food. If you can eat it, you'll find it here. This is the Taiwan Culinary exhibition. It's a celebration of the country's treasured food culture. Taiwan takes its food so seriously that even the president attended the expo's opening ceremony.
3, 2, 1.
The Taiwan Visitors Association, which promotes local tourism, organized this exhibition. As the government continues trying to bring overseas visitor numbers back to pre-COVID levels, industry experts say that leveraging Taiwan's food scene should be a priority to meet that goal.
我们所做的每一个民调，就是你为什么会来台湾玩呢？每个人答案都是美食。韩国、日本、美国、菲律宾答案都一样，所以台湾的美食扬名全球。
The theme of this year's exhibit is seafood. Taiwan is an island country and known for its bountiful seas. But at a time when overfishing is a global concern, there's one question that pops up when talking about ocean delicacies. A point of focus at culinary expos like this is sustainability. How do we go about consuming and producing as much as we do without depleting the Earth's natural resources too quickly? There are dedicated speakers and exhibits on sustainability, and it's on the mind of many of the big players here.
我们的这个自助餐厅呢，它是特别的跟台东的这个渔船做契作，等于我们这个鱼呢，我们没有挑品种，就是它这个渔船捕到的鱼，我们全部都收，就不会因为说这个是不要的品种，那你可能就浪费了。所以我们这个非常积极的做到海洋的这个生态永续链。
Sustainability is about protecting the environment. Human-caused climate change can have severe consequences in Taiwan. That's especially true for smaller operations, like for this fish farmer from Pingtung in southern Taiwan, who says they got lucky after dodging damage from recent torrential rains. Even so, environmental impacts are always back of mind.
天气太热的时候，我的鱼可能会不吃饭，或者是雨下太大的时候，我的海水的盐度也会变淡。
And it's not just the seafood industry that's thinking about sustainable practices. Pingtung has an up-and-coming chocolate industry, and purveyors from there are thinking about how to protect their product's future.
国外因为是很多制造国家的展区，树的话没有办法就是不好，它才有那个量少的一个风险。
In many ways, this expo is a feast. But instead of indulgent excess, this feast is mindful of its environmental impact. People here try to take only what they need and leave enough for the earth. Fu Huahong and Leslie Liao in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Rail enthusiasts in Taipei are in for a treat. The country's oldest rail yard is reopening to the public starting Thursday. It's been turned into a museum as part of a government plan going back nearly a decade. Irene Lin has this report.
A retired diesel power locomotive from the late 1990s, now turned into a living museum piece ready to be back on track for a new generation of passengers. After nearly a decade of planning and restoration, Taiwan's Culture Ministry is opening parts of the National Railway Museum to the public on July 31st.
时间就像一辆火车，它有一个长长的尾巴，我们怎么也拖不住它，时间就这样子过去了。今天站在这边，我非常感慨，就是所有的童年，过去大家的奋斗，包括刚才讲到，抗争、保留、修复，中间非常非常多辛苦的过程。
One of the few industrial museums in the country, the Taipei Railway Workshop was first known as the Taihoku Railway Workshop, set up in 1935 during the Japanese colonial era. Located in the heart of Taipei, it used to be the country's largest base for maintaining rolling stock, and is overseeing over 80 years of railway evolution. Since the yard was relocated in 2013, it was named a National Heritage Site in 2015, collecting dust and rust until an official plan for repurposing it kicked off the next year. Visitors will now get to experience the daily lives of railway engineers in the past, such as their workstations and even bathhouses. The National Railway Museum will fully open in the next few years as restoration work continues, welcoming railway enthusiasts and all those who grew up with the significance of this workshop to revisit the past. Howard Zhang and Irene Lin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Here's What Happened. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, check out this corn maze in Germany shaped like a map of Europe. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.
At Connected, we believe in the power of dialogue. It's not just about the headlines, it's about finding common ground. Join the conversation.
Connected with Divya Gopalan on TaiwanPlus.